Yeah. Yeah, so we're dealing with this cold out here right now. Yeah. So we're seeing extreme cold freezes out in Texas. I want to kind of tap in with the people, see where everybody's at, see where the what the temperature's looking like. Been speaking to some of the family over there in Texas. They saying they experiencing cold like never before. Arctic conditions, you know. Let's see if we can check this out. Yeah, so hope everybody's staying safe and well. Otherwise, you know.
In Grapevine, they are relying on emergency generators for electricity. Like many towns in Texas, the extreme weather has caused a wave of power outages. Many people are cold and helpless.
So we're dealing with power outages.
This impromptu emergency shelter set up in a leisure centre, a refuge from the plummeting temperature. We meet Charles, tired but relieved to be here.
I don't think I could have stayed in there all night, so I think I did the right thing by coming up into this warming station here. At least it let me live another day. You know,
you would have died if you stayed at home.
Probably so, yeah.
Yeah, so he's
saying in another room, Cherie and her daughter Zoe.
He probably would have died if he stayed at home.
They've managed to find a hotel to move to.
It's way more assuring, but I mean, here they were really accommodating. Everybody was really nice. They made sure I always had what we needed. They gave us, hot water if we needed it. We had coffee all night. They gave us extra blankets. So it's been, rough, but they're doing what they can, and they've been phenomenal.
But not everyone is so lucky. Hotel rooms are rare and expensive in Texas now. We're with Belinda as she tries to find somewhere warm for the night.
Hi, I was hoping that you had rooms available tonight.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You don't want to travel 50 miles, do you? No. Okay. Thank you anyway. Okay. Bye-bye. And how many, do you have any rooms available tomorrow night?
So we're dealing with a polar vortex right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We're not used to having this, such an unavailability, but.
All around us, people whose lives have been thrown into chaos by the weather. But there's also phlegmatism here. Eula will celebrate her 95th birthday on Sunday.
Listen, I went through the Depression. I went through all the wars. I can get through this.
Oh, wow, peace to
I can get through
It
this.
is the same story across this huge state. Texas is nearly 3 times bigger than the UK, and much of it has been struck down and brought to a halt by the effects of Arctic conditions. This is the Texan town of Euless, and just around here, 10,000 households woke up with no electricity and no heating.
Oh, wow.
They were told to keep the shutters closed to keep the heat in, and as you can see, the roads are very, very quiet. Now, the electricity has returned sporadically, but any optimism has been tempered by the knowledge that another snowstorm is forecast to arrive in the coming hours. Texas has wealth and resources, but it is struggling to cope with the crisis, and nobody knows if there's worse to come. Adam Parsons, Sky News, Tarrant County, Texas.
Yeah, so similarly, I mean, even in the UK, we've had reports in some areas of power cuts momentarily. Not necessarily on the same capacity, but there have been some noted. The extreme weather conditions, maybe not as bad, but are we on the brink of a new little ice age? They say when most of us think about ice ages, we imagine a slow transition into a colder climate on long time scales. Indeed, but they say studies of the past millions of years indicate a repeatable cycle of Earth's climate going from warm periods into glacial, as we're experiencing now, to glacial conditions. It says the period of these shifts are related to changes in the tilt of the Earth's rotational axis, 41,000 years. So changes in the orientation of Earth's elliptical orbit around the sun, called the precession of the equinoxes, which is every 23,000 years, and to its changes in the shape, more round or less round, of the epital orbit, which is 100,000 years. So it says the theory that orbital shifts cause the waxing and waning of ice ages was first pointed out by James Kroll in the 19th century and developed more fully by Milutin Milankovitch in 1938. So yeah, you know, we hear a lot about global warming, but I don't think people realize the warming can indicate to colder temperatures as we see it now. So even in the States, they say multiple states have declared emergencies just for this winter weather. So let's check this out.
Severe weather has sparked emergency declarations in several states across the country. The Arctic blast is pounding states from coast to coast with heavy snow, freezing rain, ice, and some of the coldest temperatures seen in years. Right now, there are reports of more than 2 million people in Texas without power. CBS News' Maria Villarreal has the latest from nearby Oklahoma.
From this fiery wreck in Oklahoma,
We see
to
Oklahoma
whiteout
now,
conditions in Arkansas,
and
down to Texas.
Texas.
An unparalleled winter storm targeting southern states unused to a powerful mix of snow, ice, and below freezing temperatures. Cars and trucks providing no match for roads and interstates blanketed with sheets of ice, sending vehicles careening out of control. In Texas, for the first time, all 254 counties in the state are under winter storm warnings. The Lone Star State hasn't seen temperatures like this in over 30 years.
Our roads, no matter how much we salt them, are not designed for it.
Oklahoma also making history with temperatures below 20 degrees for 5 days straight, the third time ever in the state's history. For Suzanne Markingo, driving on these roads for work can be a life or death decision.
Every time you take that key and you start it up, you take your life in your own hands and you take the public's life in their hands too.
The same storm left at least 200,000 without power over the weekend in the Pacific Northwest. The 2-day snowfall was the most seen in Seattle in almost 40 years, leaving some residents digging themselves out more than a foot of snow.
All right, CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist Jeff Baradelli is in New York with the very latest. Oh man, I mean, compared to what we just saw in some of that video, New York looks great. Looks like winter has moved into much of the country and does not want to move out. What can we expect to see for the rest of today and then looking ahead to tomorrow?
Well, New York's still pretty
This
snowy.
is a historic storm. People are going to remember this for a long time because there's snow and ice all the way down to the Gulf Coast, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. I mean, the biggest issue with this storm, beside the snow, is going to be a sheet of ice that's going to develop, from Louisiana through Mississippi up through the Tennessee Valley. And the reason for this is Arctic air has a lot of muscle. It's very heavy. It's very dense. And it's kind of bullying its way all the way down to the Gulf Coast and into the Gulf of Mexico, of all things. And there's snow and ice all the way down into the Gulf. So the Gulf of Mexico at the same time is trying to push moisture and warm air north. And it's doing so over the top of this very cold air at the surface. So you have warm air in the clouds, produces rain. That rain hits the ground, it freezes solid, it becomes a skating rink. So that's going to be a problem anywhere from the deep south straight through the Ohio Valley. And so as we head through the day today, tonight, and tomorrow, that storm's going to make it north through the Tennessee and Ohio Valley and northeast. And there's going to be a lot of heavy snow on the northwestern side of the system. So places like Indianapolis, Cleveland, and Buffalo are going to see a lot of snow. Anywhere from a half an inch to an inch of ice in this area where we have the pink shading.
Piece of the Fairmount in Cleveland.
From the deep south through the northeast. Even in New York City, we'll see a little bit, but it's going to change to rain here along the coast. It's northern west of here that they get hit hard. And the Ohio Valley and eastern part of the Great Lakes, Buffalo, Syracuse, and Burlington get a lot of snow, probably 6 to 12 plus inches of snowfall.
So here's the thing. We're also seeing like record-breaking cold temperatures, the kind of temperatures that you read and you think there's a typo, right? Because there's
especially for some states.
When you look at the precipitation that's coming down, the deep freeze, I mean, what is the biggest danger when it comes to this weather?
I think the biggest danger is the ice, for sure. And one of the biggest problems is going to be widespread power outages in the south. And it's going to stay cold for at least a couple to a few days. So if people lose power, it's going to get really cold inside their houses. So it's not just the power outages, it's also, you just should not be on the roads, period, in the south right now. That's how dangerous it's going to be. And temperatures are the other issue, because we're talking temperatures, below zero right now in Oklahoma City.
Wichita,
the coldest temperatures
Arkansas,
in over 100 years in places like that. Coldest temperatures
Dallas,
in Texas in 30 years. It's going to be
Alexandria,
50
Louisiana,
below
Little
normal
Rock,
today
Arkansas.
in Oklahoma City. It should be 55. It's going to be 5 if they are lucky.
Austin,
and wind chills
Texas.
right now in the upper Midwest and northern plain states are negative 30 to negative 40 degrees. So there are plenty of hazards. You can pick your hazards because there's plenty of them across the country. The interesting thing is, like I said, in New York and Boston, it's an ice to rain event. But there's another storm behind it, Anne-Marie, that's going to be a little colder here. So believe it or not, it's a day or two behind, and it's almost a mirror image. I should say mirror image. It's almost the exact same storm. It's a carbon copy, if you will.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. At least typically we get a little bit of a break and maybe you might get some melting. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so, extremely cold temperatures and stuff. Now, we wonder if this has anything to do with, earlier reports that was reported in January on a new Bill Gates venture, which was to spray dust into the atmosphere in some kind of attempt to block out the sun. I know that sounds crazy, but it was reported from Forbes, and it sounds like something from a Simpsons episode. I think Mr. Burns attempted that at one point, but it says Microsoft's billionaire founder Bill Gates is financially backing the development of sun dimming technology that would potentially reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, triggering a global cooling effect. So I don't know if we're seeing some of that now, but it says the Stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment, which is called SCoPEx, launched by Harvard University scientists, aims to examine this solution by spraying non-toxic calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere, a sun-reflecting aerosol that may offset the effects of global warming. So widespread research into the efficiency of solar geoengineering has been stalled for years due to controversy. Opponents believe such science comes with unpredictable risks, including extreme shifts in the weather patterns. Not dismissing to warming trends we are already witnessing, environmentalists similarly fear that a dramatic shift in mitigation strategy will be treated as a green light to continue emitting greenhouse gases with little to no changes in current consumption and production patterns. So yeah, there's definitely a lot going on. We see even out in India and stuff, stuff going on with the farmers and all this push for new globalization and new ways of doing things. So I just want to say everybody stay safe out there. Let us know what the weather's like where you at. Pay attention to the weather, pay attention to the things going on around you. Study your lessons and stuff. Don't just be caught up in like the media and all the BS and stuff that's going on, because we're in some critical times, and like it tells us in the scriptures, we're fighting not just against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. And in these times, we definitely see a lot of that. So I want to say peace to the family. Stay up, stay woke, stay warm as you can, and look out for you folks. Peace.